5-minute warning. If everyone could be seated within 5 minutes. Two-minute warning. Two-minute warning. If everyone could be seated, please.
You want to bring it down? Nope. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Ideas on Tap for Friday, November 30th. Give it up for your host today, Mr. Troy Ruck.
Test. Can you hear me? All right, good evening, everyone. My name is Troy Ruck, and I'm the General Manager of Marketing Services, the newest member of the senior leadership team here at Vendasta. And tonight is hosted by my department, a team of some of the brightest people in Canada, some of the brightest marketing strategists in Canada. If you could all stand and be recognized, please. You won't find a group of people that work harder and definitely some of the smartest people I know, and I know because I hired a lot of them. All right, tonight we're going to have a few housekeeping things just before we get started. So this is a 19-plus event, so if you are underage, please get out. You may be asked for ID, and take that as a compliment. I haven't been asked for ID yet, so. Drinks are just $2, so do drink up and enjoy, but please be safe. Catch a cab. If you don't have a phone, ask someone to catch a cab for you, get a cab for you tonight. The SkyPad is over to my right. Back in the corner there, you'll find some snacks, some delicious food prepared by our food ops team here. And the bathrooms, if you don't know already, back on either side to my left, the men's washroom. To the far right of the elevators is the women's washroom. And in case of a fire, and knock on wood, the fire exit is the door immediately to my left, straight out. And there are also window exits, but I don't recommend them. And we are a wild bunch here at Vendasta. Vendastians can be a little on the excitable side. So just a gentle reminder, everybody, when we're giving presentations, if we can respect the presentations and keep the chatter down, there'll be lots of time to have conversations in between. And there will be a break as well. The schedule tonight, we have 3 speakers on the agenda. There will be 2 speakers back to back. Then we'll have followed by a 40-minute networking break as long as we're on schedule. And then we'll conclude with a 50-50 draw for the evening. All right, what is Vendasta? A question that I hope that many can't answer, and that's because of the nature of our business. So we are one of Canada's fastest growing tech companies, recently named on Deloitte's fastest growing 500 companies, and that's 4 years running. What Vendasta is a white label digital marketing automation platform. We service advertising and marketing agencies who use our product to sell and deliver different types of services and digital products to local businesses all around the world. We're probably one of Saskatoon's best kept secret. You've probably heard of us, but again, most people won't know what we do. And we'd like to keep it that way because of the nature of our white label servicing. Have you heard about Vendasta, about how fun it is to work here? Some of the great things that we offer, of course, are, I don't know anywhere else in this city that will feed you breakfast, lunch, gummy bears, bubble gum, the odd chocolate, and the odd time Dairy Queen blizzards. We have many social programs that go on where we go out to Rough Rider games, we go out to park events, we have art nights. We do all kinds of things for our employees, and that's because we believe in a culture of being a part of life, not just being a part of work. And so if you're interested and you're smart in Vendasta, I would recommend you go to vendasta.com/careers and check us out. We've got many openings. We're growing. As I just said, we're one of the fastest growing companies in Canada. Tonight, there'll be somebody running around with tickets. Where is that person? All right, and a couple of people maybe running around with tickets for the 50-50 draw. Please buy a ticket or 2. In fact, don't waste your time. Buy 10. She's got long arms, I'm told, so she'll give you a good deal on some tickets. So we are supporting the Restorative Action Program. This is a program that helps young people who are at risk from bullying and from problems and keeping them in school and keeping them from committing suicide. And it's a brilliant program that's been around for a number of years, and we are a big sponsor of it. We just put on an event a couple of weeks ago, raised $37,000 for the event, so we're continuing that tonight and trying to collect some more for that. So, all right, now we're going to get to the more interesting part of the evening, the small business SEO presentation, the recipe for success. So how many business owners do I have in the room? Who here has a website? Okay, several people have a website. All right. So do you live dangerously is what I got to ask you. A lot of people have a website. It's easy to create one nowadays, but not a lot of people know how to manage that website and how to get traffic to that website. So tonight, we're bringing to you the 3 pillars of success and the power of 3. So we have 3 speakers, we have 3 experts, and we have 3 pillars of SEO: expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. And so if the idea of SEO scares you, or if you don't know what it means at all, by the end of this presentation, you should have a good grasp of what it is. And take notes, take lots of notes, take it back, because you can use some of these real-life practices and put it into your website and be found. All right, our 3 speakers tonight are Micheline Goudet. She is to my left here. She's a growth manager here at Vendasta. We have Jabbar Prodhan. He's our SEO expert at Vendasta, and we have an outside expert as well, Nakia Behil. She's the marketing director at a local agency here, Rock and Bloom. Thanks for joining us, Nakia. And our other experts, we didn't want to just give you some speakers. We wanted to give you a chance to network with some of the people that do this every day in their day jobs. In the back corner there, if you guys can stand, please. We've got 2 of the 3, and then the third one right here. Adam will be, you just got to go running around finding Adam. We've got Bill O'Dell, our website developer, and we've got Nick Padella all the way from south of the border. Where are you from, Nick? I'm not even... Utah. Coming up here just to be with you folks tonight. He's one of our partners with Boostability, and we have Adam Bissonette, a marketing genius here at Vendasta as well. Take advantage of that time with that these folks give you tonight, because when you go talk to them tomorrow, they'll probably be billing you for it. All right, what we're really here for now is to see our speakers. And our first speaker tonight, Micheline Goudet, is going to speak to us about expertise. Micheline has been helping small businesses succeed online with Vendasta since March of 2016. She's written thousands of tweets, helped hundreds of small businesses, and created dozens of blogs in just a few short years here. And she's loved every single minute of it, especially working for me. She's got a secret sauce to help your small business be found online, and she's ready and willing to share the ingredients with you. No matter what kind of business you're running, she's got some piping hot tips to help you take your SEO strategy to all new heights. Please welcome Micheline Goudet.
Okay. Thanks, Troy. And thank you guys all so much for joining us at Vendasta HQ. Ideas on Tap is one of my favorite events here, so I'm so glad that you guys could be here to share it with me. So like Troy said, I've been working here for almost 3 years, and I think I have learned more in these 3 years than I would have in a lifetime anywhere else. We like to call Vendasta a rocket ship, and it's for good reason, because literally things change at the speed of light, and we're all just holding on for dear life to make sure that we can kind of keep up. But man, is it one hell of a ride. So I can definitely encourage you, if you're looking for a job and you love moving quickly, Vendasta is the place for you. So because I've learned so much in a very short time, I thought I'd share some of my favorite SEO snippets with you guys. So Troy asked how many business owners are in the room, but how many of you know enough about SEO to be able to help your business succeed online? Does anybody feel comfortable? Adam, the expert, yeah, that makes sense. Well, that means you're in the right place, I think, because we're going to share some of our best tips with you. So let's get started. So let's talk about the E in SEO, is expertise. So when you think of experts, who do you think of? Do you think of lawyers, surgeons maybe, astrophysicists, whatever they do? Because really they're the experts in their field and they know everything there is to know about what they do, right? But I'd like to challenge that and say that experts aren't necessarily people only with exceptional degrees that have gone to school for longer than I've been alive. I'd like to think that experts can be anyone who has a passion and is willing to share it with the world. For example, let's look at mechanics. They're the experts at fixing cars, right? Or photographers. They're the experts at capturing special moments. Or personal trainers. They're the experts at kicking your butt so that you stay in shape, right? So the same can kind of be said about being an expert according to Google. You don't have to know everything, you just have to know enough to be able to share it with people. For example, if you owned a salon, Google wouldn't, and let's say somebody searched for your salon online. Google wouldn't actually do a background check to make sure that you have your diploma, right? I mean, I hope it doesn't, because that'd be kind of creepy. But the same can be said, though, right? They're not checking to make sure that you have all the credentials. They're checking to see to make sure you're a legit business, that you share information, that you look like you know what you're talking about. So I would say that to be an expert in your business, you don't necessarily need to know everything you need to know, just enough. Good. Good. Oh. Good. Time to catch my breath a little bit. Now, what was I saying? So really, what? It's not working? What? It's not as good? It's not working? Now, can you hear me? Yeah, good. Okay. So I would say that to be an expert, like I said, you don't necessarily have to know absolutely everything. Because quite frankly, you just need to know enough and share enough that Google recognizes you. Because Google has a reputation. And if any of you know Google's motto, it's to organize the world's information and make it accessible and useful to everyone. Now, we wouldn't believe that anymore if Google started offering us crappy information, right? So the same can be said for experts. So who is the expert on your business? It's you, obviously. You're in business for a reason. And I think one of the best ways that you can boost your SEO ranking and make sure that your customers can find you online is to create quality content. And when I say content, people kind of shiver a little bit because it sounds like a big fancy word. It's not. I don't think that you have to be the next J.K. Rowling to write good content. In fact, if you were the next J.K. Rowling, you probably wouldn't be managing the business you're in. You'd be writing books, selling them, and living the life in England, right? And in fact, I honestly don't even think you need to be an exceptional writer. I think you just need to have a passion and be willing to share that with people. It's that simple. So let's take a fictional example, Luigi's Pizzeria. So Luigi makes the best pizza in town. He's known as the only place that people want to get pizza on the weekend or in the morning after they've had too many. It's the place to go. However, online, Luigi's Pizzeria doesn't actually seem all that great, and he's ranking actually pretty poorly online, and he can't figure out why. So let's kind of look at his website and figure that out. So as you can see, it's not the most beautiful website. It's somewhat functional, I think, but it kind of hurts your eyes when you look at it. He has three pages. One of them is his homepage that you can see with some blurry images, not great. Doesn't seem very appetizing. The other one is comments made, which I'm assuming is reviews or something. It's just bad. And then the last one is driving directions. So from this website, do you see anything that makes it seem like Luigi's is the best pizza place in town? He knows what he's doing, man. He's the best. Obviously not. It's like the worst website I've ever seen. So what I would suggest is to create a website like this one. So the reason I think this one is so much better is because of the content, because of the expertise that they're sharing.
So the first piece that I would suggest that every website has, and I think you can all agree it's pretty much a staple in most websites, is basic content. So it's things like location pages, about us, contact us. For the most part, most websites you see normally have pages like that, right? And basic content is essentially that you get to tell people where you are and what you do. So for example, how would anyone find you if you don't give them your location? How would they call you for a pizza if you don't have your phone number? It's kind of counterintuitive, right? Or what about an About Us page? That is literally the easiest way you can use to tell people you're an expert. You literally tell them, I'm an expert, in your About Us page. So for Luigi's sake, he could say, I've been working with pizza for 20 years and this is all I do. I breathe pizza. That makes him sound like an expert, right? Or if he said, 16 generations in my family have been making pizza. He sounds like an expert, right? Or if you were to say something like, maybe you sat down and ate an extra large pizza by yourself in one sitting. Not the most useful information, but if that's what you feel makes you an expert, share it. So it's not necessarily about knowing all the things, it's about knowing your product really well. So after basic content, I would suggest focusing on main content. That too is something that I would say most websites would have. And if you ever get a website professionally done, they usually have something like this. So for a restaurant, it would be a menu page. For a plumber, it would be a services page. But if you think about Luigi's old website, he didn't have a service page or a menu, right? On his website. Can you imagine calling a pizzeria and asking for a pizza, but you don't know what they have? Be like, hello, I would like a pizza with whatever comes on it, I guess. Of course not. That's how you get food poisoning. You don't order that stuff. Or if it was a plumber. Let's say you went to his website, you have a clogged toilet or something. You find this plumber's website, and all it says is call for a quote. Okay. Would you go through the process of calling a plumber only to explain to him over the phone that your toddler threw 3 handfuls of Lego in the toilet and now you can't use it anymore, just to get a quote? Well, I mean, I guess it depends how comfortable you are when plumbers laugh at you on the phone for a solid minute. I probably would not enjoy that. Instead, wouldn't you just go back to Google and find a plumber that's more accessible, that has all his services laid out on the website, or the prices laid out so you know exactly what you're getting into, so that when the plumber comes to your house and snakes all that Lego out of your pipes, and he laughs at you then, it's a little bit better. Kind of. And then the last piece of content that I would recommend, and this part is my favorite, I think, as a content strategist, is relevant content. This is like our bread and butter. This is where you get to be as creative as you want and not necessarily tell people you're an expert, but you show them how you're an expert. So, for example, for Luigi, one of the ways he could do that, I mean, he probably doesn't want to hand out pizza, right? Just to prove that the pizza's good. He'd go bankrupt. But instead, he could share some of the reasons that his pizza is the best. So he could write blog posts or social posts about some of the best ingredients that he uses to make his pizza the best. And maybe Luigi is really protective of his family recipe, and he doesn't want to talk about that. That's fair. You do you. But maybe he could share a blog post about wine pairings, that some wines are best with this particular pizza that he makes. Or what about, if he was feeling really fun, he could create an infographic with the top 10 fun facts you didn't know about pizza. Like, for example, did you know that depending on the amount of sauce you put on a pizza, it can be considered a vegetable in the United States? Fun fact. Write that down. You'll want to remember it tomorrow. Or maybe, if he didn't want to share that kind of information, if he really wanted to be helpful for his customers, he could write a blog about some of the best ways you can reheat leftover pizza to maintain the crisp flavor that you love from fresh pizza. Doesn't he seem like an expert all of a sudden? That's fantastic. That is the content that people live for. But I have to remind you that it's not a one and done. Luigi can't just write one blog post, post it, and call it a day and hope for the best. Suddenly he'll be on Google's #1 page. That's sadly not how it works. Because Google gets 40,000 searches every second. Most of them are me, but I mean, just kidding. I do spend a lot of time on Google. But they also get 2 million blog posts every single day, which means that Luigi's single blog post is going to get lost in the shuffle pretty quick. So to become an expert in the eyes of Google and in the eyes of your customers, your content has to be relevant. So let's say Luigi decided that he was going to write a blog about some of his extracurricular activities, like racing karts, trying to save Princess Peach, you know, what he does on the weekends. All the gamers in the audience are laughing secretly because they know what I'm talking about. If he started talking about those things for his business, then suddenly he wouldn't necessarily be the pizza expert anymore. He'd probably, I don't know what kind of expert that would be anymore. And he also has to create accurate content. If he is creating content that isn't necessarily right, or if he's telling his customers that, hey, you need to bake your pizza at 1,000 degrees, your customers are going to know that you're flipping crazy. But Google will too, because Google's smart enough. And then finally, you need to make sure that your content is both frequent and consistent. So if Luigi were to get really hyped up on this talk today and decide that he's going to write a blog post every single day for a month, that's great. I'm glad. Good for you, buddy. But the problem is that he's in the pizza business for a reason. He's good at making pizza. He loves it. He's passionate about it. He doesn't mind doing that every day. But writing blog posts, you kind of get old, right? So instead, what he could do is write one blog post every week, every month, but consistently for a year, for 2 years. So what that does is it shows not only Google, but it shows your customers that you're still in the game, that you're still dedicated to your business. You're consistently learning more about your business and making sure that you're relevant and on point for today, and that you're always willing to share that information with people. So I just want to close it up by saying SEO doesn't have to be that hard, especially for small business owners. If you're like an Adam Beeson of the world who knows everything about SEO, it's probably harder, but as a small business owner, you don't need to know all of that. You just need to know about your industry. That's the hardest part, is knowing your business, your industry, and being willing to share it. But you already know everything about your industry, so you've got that covered. Now all you have to do is be willing to share it with your audience. So at the end of the day, SEO is not really that scary. Awesome. Any questions?
Do I just talk? Aha, cool. Okay, so if you're writing those blog posts, are you writing them mainly for Google to look at them? What if nobody's seeing them?
That's a good question. I would say that your blogs should probably be useful for both Google and for your readers, because as scary as it sounds, Google is smart enough to know when you're just creating crappy content stuffed with keywords just for Google. But when it knows that you're creating content that honestly that matches a lot of other information online but is unique in its own way and that is useful for readers, you'll get better traction with it. Good question. Anybody else? There's one all the way down here. You ready to catch the box?
What do I do? Do I just Oh, here, hi. Okay, so a couple questions about Google and how it gets to know you. First of all, how does it know that if you're just producing crap to get people's attention, or if you're giving advice but it's bad advice, like cooking your pizza too hot? Can Google tell that? Can Google tell if your pricing is out of whack? Can Google tell? And if you are providing good information but no one's noticed it yet, does Google still notice that?
Well, I think Google is smarter than the average person, so I do think it notices it. I don't know that it would compare your prices with anybody else, but it cross-references the information that you have with the information that somebody else has posted. So if you Google temperature to cook pizza and everybody says 350, but you're saying 1,000, that's when you start dropping, because it can tell that you're not on point with everybody else. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense, but in that case, what if you've got a new idea or a new theory, or you're some kind of an outlier in terms of a process or service? Does that put you at a disadvantage with the sort of the mainstream?
That's a tough question.
Somebody in here probably.
I feel like the more technical experts
Yeah.
will be able to answer that.
Because I don't. I've had little side businesses that I've have had a web presence, and I have no idea how that went. I mean, it was a long time ago, but
I think it would also depend like how unique it is, right? Like if you're making up words, it'd probably be hard to find you online. Apparently Nick is going to save me right now. Thank you.
do you want this undone?
I even like football, and I dropped the ball, man. So definitely, how Google's going to interact with anything that you write is twofold. They're going to make sure that you've got certain checks and balances on that page, such as your titles, your H1s, and the copy in the website that support a specific subject matter. Whether or not it's pizza or whatever your business is, they're going to look at that. So they're going to look at the copy that you wrote and make sure that it's relevant to what your website is. And they're going to start with that. Afterwards, they're going to look at how people interact with your website. So if they're going to the blog and if they're spending a lot of time on certain pages, they can even take a heat map and say, all right, it looks like in this area more people are looking. That will determine whether or not you are relevant. And as people interact with your website, with those individual blog pages that are being created, that's when your ranking will start to improve. Not so much comparing your website to other websites that are out there, but more seeing how are people interacting with your website at that point, and how are they interacting with your copy. That's when you become the relevant answer and you get to the top of pages of Google.
Okay, I got one more quick question.
I'm ready. Do you want this?
No, that's all right.
Are you sure?
If your content is good, but your competitors are huge companies that afford all kinds of marketing services and optimization, that kind of thing, is Google going to recognize that your content is good, even though only some people are accessing it?
So the purpose of search engine optimization is for you to be found for queries that people are asking online. If your content answers those questions, they're going to come to your content. Even if there's a larger corporation that might have a ton more spend that's out there, if you're doing your copywriting correctly, you're going to answer those questions, which a lot of big companies aren't answering all of the small and minute questions that are out there.
Thank you. Any more? Am I good? Oh, sure. Please make it a softball.
All right, so I'm Luigi's Pizzeria in downtown Calgary. We're competing with 20 other restaurants nearby, and people love my daily special. So I take that daily special, I post it right on the front page of my website. Am I better off to post my daily special, delete it, and then post the next one because it's no longer relevant to my users? Or am I better off to have that be a blog post and tag it for the daily special and let that blog post stay forever for content?
I would say like I said, you're better off to update it more frequently. So if that's the way that you want to post it, if your blog post today is about your special today, but then you change it tomorrow, then you're more likely to rank better when people are looking for your daily
But do you
specials.
keep the old content or write over the content?
I would say you keep it and just let it age. That it's always on your website and available to read, because the content's still good. Even if it's not written yesterday, it's still good. It's just not as good as the stuff that's written today.
So Google My Business asks for recent posts about your company. So when you have a business page, do you recommend that we post our blog posts to those? Is that better, worse?
I guess it depends on what you want to share and what you want to bring attention to your business, right? So if you recently wrote a blog post that you're really proud of, that you think people are really going to be interested in, absolutely share that information. I would say Google My Business, the best posts, I would say, are things that are very business related. So sales, promotions that you have. The thing with Google My Business is that that post will disappear within a certain amount of days. So you absolutely can, but I would definitely recommend posting it on all of your social networks. I think there's one more, and then maybe we'll move on.
Hi. So you were talking about the more text and literary changes made to a website, but when you were showing the comparisons between Luigi's old website and the new one, there's also a huge visual upgrade as well, aesthetic upgrade, where everything's cleaner, it's more sharper looking. And I was just curious, all the changes in and optimization you're talking about is all literary and text, but does Google also take into account visual aesthetic as well when comparing websites? Do they direct people to more cleaner looking websites as well?
Absolutely. And I'm guessing we'll probably touch on that in a few other discussions today, but they definitely look at the fact if your images are blurry or low resolution, you kind of start getting docked just for that. And the same can be said about when people interact with your website. So if they go to your website and see an ugly picture and they leave right away, Google is taking note, so you're better off to make sure that your website is visually appealing as well. Oh. One more? Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, and just a question around, you were talking about relevancy and social posts versus blog posts. I'm wondering not so much, well, I guess as it pertains to how Google ranks it, but also just successes of businesses. Do they tend to be more successful if their focus is, there's such a wide range of social, whether it's LinkedIn, B2B marketing, or Facebook, or Instagram, or blogs. If you could just share a little bit about that in terms of what you would recommend. Yeah.
Absolutely. As much as I like to give preference to blogs, because that's what I work with on a daily basis, I would say that you should probably also spread some energy between all of your social channels. So I would encourage you to have Facebook and LinkedIn and Instagram and also blogs, and those kind of marry together. So you use your blog on Facebook, and so you kind of get a double whammy, right? And if you link to your blog, then more people are likely seeing it, right? I know it's hard to say you should focus on one or the other, but I would encourage you to try and, if you're willing to create content, share it in as many places as you can so that the most amount of people can see it. All right, thanks so much, guys. Have a good rest of your night.
Thanks, Michelin. I got to say, Michelin was formerly our senior content editor, and she's very good with words. So good that halfway through the presentation, I could almost smell the aroma of a Hawaiian ham and pineapple pizza. I could just. Then I thought they're probably actually cooking it back there. So, as a reminder, in the break after this next presentation, there is food back there. There are drinks back there. Go and help yourself. All right, we're going to move on to our second pillar. And our second pillar is authoritativeness. Our second speaker, Jabbar Prodham, is Vendasta's in-house SEO strategist and all-around SEO expert. He holds an advanced diploma in digital marketing and has years of experience in technical and local SEO. He has always been looking for ways to help local businesses overcome their challenges and succeed in the world of Google. And today, he welcomes you to that world. Please welcome Jabbar to the platform.
Hi everyone. Hello. Hi everyone. Hope you're all having a great time. So my name is Jubair and I'm the in-house SEO strategist. So today I'll talk about authoritativeness, or in simple term, authority in the eye of Google. Now this is a very, very important topic because right now Michelin talked about content and how important it is to write content. But everyone is publishing content. If you search for best pizza recipes, you'll find hundreds and thousands of content. So which one will Google give rank? Now it's not. Hello? Okay, so it's not always about the best content, it's also about who's speaking. Because if I ask for, okay, I've got fever or I've got a critical problem in my health, whom should I go? Maybe I can go to a specialist, or I can go to a more experienced doctor who can guide me in a right path. So in the same way, when we ask about content, Google see how experienced you have, how much authority you have, and how good your content is. So I'll take the same example as Luigi, as he entered into the virtual world, and now how he can improve his authority. So he got 4 key metrics that, okay, you should get more fans and followers in your social media, you should get visitors, you should get customers, and then finally you'll have your revenue. So if a company has all of these, then we can consider him as a good authority. So he started working on it, and he's doing good, but the problem is he still doesn't rank in SEO. So what happened? What about Google? Why doesn't Google giving him rank? So he's taking all of his points, all of his visitors, all of the metrics he has, and he's asking to Google, why am I not ranking? And this is the response he got. Oops. Guess what? Google doesn't care. Google doesn't care how many visitors you have got, how many fans, how many likes, how many comments you have got on your social media, because Google cares about backlinks and Google cares about other things. So Luigi is now very sad because in the Google world, none of his metrics are important. This is important for his business, but not in the Google world. So now his friend comes, Mario, and he is saying him that, okay, maybe these metrics are not important, but these are the metrics that are important to Google. So today I'll try to share with you the most important metrics that you can work on to improve your authority in the Google world. First of all, we'll get to social signals. Now I just mentioned that it's not important to have like thousands of followers or likes in the eye of Google, but Google sees how many likes, how many shares, and how many pins you have got in your post if people are actually engaging with your content. That's what's important. Maybe because if you're writing a good content or not, these are some metrics that Google see to understand if that content is a good piece or not. If your content is good, people will like it, people will share it. That's why it is really important. So how we can get more social signals? First of all, make it easy to share it. You can share your content on social media. When you're publishing your post, have a link so people can click it and just tweet it from there. Have social sharing icons so people can share from there. Most importantly, hello? Okay. Participate in the social media sites so people can find your content there as well. Because it's not often that when you're a new website, people may not come to your website and find your content, but we are logging on Facebook, on Twitter every single day. So maybe people can find your content in there and engage there and eventually come to your website. Then share your post in an engaging way. Now what do I mean by engaging way? If you just share your content, just share the post title, maybe people not like it, just sweep it. Instead, if you share some key insights from your post, like, hey, if you read this, we have got these recipes which are like easy to make. Within 10 minutes, you can make this pizza. Maybe people can be interested. Next up is advertise and boost your post. Now this is important because if you don't have any followers, if you don't have any likes on your page, then it is very hard to get likes, get engagement, and show Google those metrics that, okay, people are caring about it. If you don't have visitors, if you don't have any audience, actual audience now, then you won't have any engagement. So if you boost your post, maybe in the local area, $5 to $10 is enough for every post. So if you add that and advertise your page, then yeah, you'll get enough engagement. Next up is brand search. So I mentioned that visitors isn't very important because Google doesn't see how many visitors you are getting from social media. If you spend $100,000 in advertising, doesn't matter. Google won't care. Google care if people are actually searching for your business. People wants to know about you. People wants to know about your business. So how can you get branded search? Branded search means when somebody is searching for your business. If you're Luigi's Pizzeria and people are searching for Luigi's pizza recipe or Luigi's pizza price, that means people are interested about your brand. So to get and to increase your branded search, these are the things that you can do. First of all, optimize your social profiles. Now, it isn't directly related, but when people are looking at your social profiles, and if they found your brand, your logo, and in every post, in every image, they found your logo, they found your business name, then it's easy to remember. It often happens that we read a post, but we can't remember the website name. But if you have that your website name on that post, on that title, then people can come the next time. Hey, I read a really nice post from that website, and I will, if I need something relevant, if I need something similar, I can go back to that website. Next up is promote your unique product. If it's just a regular pizza, you can promote it. You can promote it to get more social signals, but promote your unique products. Unique products means that has a unique name, that has a unique features. For example, if I say Note 9 or S7 Edge, I don't have to say the brand name. You already know which phone I'm talking about, right? So similarly, that's the branded search as well. Maybe it's not the brand name, but it's the unique product that Google already know people are talking about a specific brand. Same way, if you have a unique product, you can just name your pizza a unique name. Yesterday, I went to a restaurant, and I found their burger name is Garden Burger. So which is unique to me, which is a vegetarian burger. So you can name your recipe, you can name your food item in a unique way, which you can use to promote. You can share it with your social media. You can share it with your newsletters, with your audience, that, hey, have you checked out this product? And then if they haven't, they can go Google and then search again. And if they search for it, then Google will see, okay, now the people are talking about this and people are asking about it. And finally, important and prioritize your public relation. Go to events, go to conferences, talk about your business, talk about other people, talk with other people, so they can know about your company, and eventually they will search for your company in Google. And this will improve in a long time. So Google will understand, Google will see that eventually people are searching for your company, and these data will help Google understand to see that, okay, this company is authoritative. Next up is reviews. It doesn't matter how many visitors, how many customers you have got, but if those customers are getting a positive experience, that's what Google is looking for. If you have 100 customers, but none of them is happy, then you're not doing a great job. So you need to spend time on your reviews so your customers are happy, and also that shows Google that you are a good company and you are taking care of your customers. So to increase more reviews, and reviews are the, I would say, only or one of the biggest way to see how a company is doing and if their product and if their service is good enough. So to get more reviews, first of all, you should join the top review websites. There are Yelp, there are Facebook, there are Google, and there are many other top websites where you can join, your company can join, and get more reviews. Next up is make it easy to your customers to leave review. Now you can't ask for reviews because it's one of the Yelp's guidelines. You can't ask for reviews, but you can make it easy for your customers so they can leave review. If you have a restaurant, you can have a station. You can have a tablet where customers can leave review. If you have a doctor, if you're a doctor or you have a medical or something similar, you can have like playing station where kids play. You can just have a tablet and have a sticker that, okay, leave us a review or share your experience with us, where they can already share your experience, share their experience in that tab, and you'll get your review. And finally, you should respond in a timely manner. When I say timely manner, maybe if you get so many reviews, then you should respond in a quickly manner, not in like 7 days after or a month after. So Google and other people can see that you are actually giving priority to your customers. And most importantly, this is backlinks. Because end of the day, backlinks is what Google cares about. This is what makes difference. Backlinks, we can see in SEO term that, okay, we get a link. Backlink is when you have a link of your website in an external website. But in Google's eye, backlink is reference. So I'm talking about a company and I'm giving them a link, I'm giving them a credit. So that is a backlink in Google's eye. If you have a good content and other people are talking about it, other people are referencing it, other people are giving credit to it, then you have a backlink. So every backlink counts. So try to get more backlinks which will show to Google that you are an authority. Your content are being talked about. So these are the ways I'll suggest to get backlinks. When people heard about backlinks, they try to go to other websites and just buy it. And that's the worst thing that you can do, because buying backlinks is not a good idea. And in the local area, you don't have to buy it. You can just simply do these things to get backlinks on your own. First of all, I would recommend to join local forums. We are joined in like Snapchat, in Facebook, in Twitter, everywhere. There are also other forums where people are participating. If you have a restaurant, then join in the food forums. If you have if you are a plumber or do you have plumbing service, then join in a similar forum where you can share your knowledge, the expert content that you have produced. You can share those and you can add value to that forum and also get mentions and also get links back to your website, which will show Google that, okay, your content is good. If nobody is talking, you start the conversation there. There are also many blogs. If, unfortunately, you don't have any forums in your local area, there are blogs. No matter what topic, there will be blogs. So you can join in those blogs. You can comment there. Now, when I say comment, please don't spam, because everybody hates it. So what you should do, or I try to do it, is I take a section of that blog, which I really like. Obviously, I have to read it first, and then I comment about it, that this is what I like, this is what I agree with you, this is what I disagree with you, and then I share my point of view, I share my opinion, and then we start a conversation. And if then the blog owner or blog writer asks for any reference, ask for any source, what I'm talking about, then I will share my link. In that way, I'm also adding value, I'm also informing him about something, and I'm getting a backlink from his website as well. Next up is submitting to local directories. Now before Google, there were directories. This is very, very old. I don't think anybody uses directories nowadays, but those are there, so why not use it? If we do have a website and there is directories, why not just list it there? If maybe someone goes there, they'll see us, they'll see our business. So you can join in the local directories, submit your website, depends on the website directory type and directory time. It may take 2 weeks to get a backlink, it may take 2 months, but eventually you will get a backlink for free, which is relevant to your location. You get a backlink from Saskatoon, you get a backlink from a food directory, which will be really helpful for you. Because a backlink from a really top website, but that's not relevant to you, is not helpful enough. But if you get a backlink from a local directory that are niche relevant and that has in the same location, that for SMBs, it is really helpful. And the next point is sponsor events. If you have the budget, if you have the money, and if you have the opportunity to sponsor an event or go to sponsor a conference, do that. Because most of the time, newspapers or news websites will pick that and then will say, okay, X company or Luigi's company sponsored these events, and this is what happened in that event. So you'll get backlinks from big websites, you'll get backlinks from local news websites, and those backlinks will be really helpful. And those backlinks will eventually come to your website, show Google that, okay, people are talking about this website, and this website is authoritative. And before I finish my presentation, I would like to give you an exercise. Please go to Google and search this. Your business name in double quotation, and then location, your location, and hyphen your website name, website.com. So for an example, oops. So this is an example. I took Una Pizza plus Wine, that's their exact business name, and all capital letter, then Saskatoon as a location. You can replace that with your building name, you can replace that with your exact address, you can do anything. Or you can not use the location, it's up to you. And then excluding your website. So what this search is doing is asking Google that, okay, give me all the searches that has the exact business name. Not just pizza, not just wine, but the exact name that mentioned. And also the Saskatoon word is also mentioned. And then I'm excluding my own website. So in that way, I am asking Google, give me all the mentions that people have, give me all the searches that have my company's name, not from my website, from other websites. And if you see, for Una Pizzas, 155 websites have mentions, are talking about that website. So you can do the same search, and you can see who are talking about my own website, who are talking about my own business. You can do the same thing with your name, you can do the same thing with anything to see if people are mentioning. You can then visit one by one, see if they're talking good or bad. See if they have a link or not. If that mention is really good, then you can contact with that website owner and ask for a backlink. That, hey, I'm seeing that you're talking good about me, you have some good information. If you want more, I can share more information, And if you'd like to mention my link, if you'd like to add my link, that will be really helpful. So in that way, with that mention, you'll also get a backlink, which will be helpful to you. That's all for me. If you have any questions, I'm more than welcome to take.
Okay, so you talked about how having a unique name for your products or services really helps. What happens when competitors start using your unique product name?
That's a tough situation. It happens. It doesn't happen. I won't say that it doesn't happen, but Google recognize how often it happens. And for example, when we search for like Note 9, take an example. So people are linking to you, not your competitors, right? Then Google will understand, okay, you are the right person. You are the company. You are the main owner of this product, and you are the main source of this product. So Google will eventually give you a higher rank. But if your competitors does a better job at SEO, and they have a great content about how bad your product is, and they manage to get backlinks, they may overrank you.
Can you talk about Yelp in our local market? In Saskatoon?
Any like Yelp about?
The effectiveness of using Yelp?
It is really effective, because if you see Bing search results, not only about Google, Bing takes their, Bing also prioritize Yelp reviews. And this is not one of the 200 ranking factors, but Google's does see. I haven't seen any website that ranks really well with a poor Yelp rating or poor reviews. So it is indirectly a ranking factor.
I got more. Okay. Can you talk about, you talked about the quantity of backlinks, and then I was going to ask you about the quality, so the size of the client or company that's backlinking to you, and then you talked about how they need to be relevant to you.
Yes.
Can you talk about what relevant to you means? If they're a completely different industry, but they've used your product or service, and they're backlinking to you, is that not as effective?
That is good. That's not a bad link, but a better backlink would be anyone from the same industry. Now there is like two types when I say, if I say like cricket or football, and I get a backlink from a football website, that's hyper relevant. So that's really good. But if I get a backlink from a hockey website, that's in the same industry, that's also from the sports industry, that is helpful. But if I get a technology website backlink from a technology website, that's not good. If it is out of context, then it is bad, because I may be buying links or that's totally irrelevant. But if he is a customer of mine and the content context is good, because Google not only looking the link, they also read the content and see the context. So if the context is good, then that backlink is valuable.
I just had one thing. So we've talked about authority and we've talked about content. And sometimes real life examples are really great to hammer things home, and especially in trying to figure out the right sort of things to do. Earlier on, I saw Norm Fisher here. Norm, are you still here? Where are you? Oh, hey. You mind if I call you out here? In a different life, Brendan and I built real estate software, and so we got to know Norm Fisher over here. And Norm is one of the smartest marketers that I've ever known. And you started quite a long time ago doing something very, very different than anybody else in the market. Really made you stand out publishing content. And I thought maybe you could just say a word about what you started doing back then.
Back in late 2006, it's kind of fortuitous timing actually, because the real estate market was just beginning to go crazy, and I started a little blog, and I've published to it at least once a week for the past 12 years, probably more like an average of twice a week, and it had been very terrific for search engine ranking for a long, long time, which I kind of read about and studied back at the time when I launched the site. and it carried me for years in the #1 spot in Google for Saskatoon real estate, but eventually started to peter out, and that's what's brought me here to try to rejuvenate. But I can't tell you, like 10, 12, 15 times a year, I get a call from someone that I don't know that says, I've been reading your blog for years, and we're ready to sell our house. So, you know, it's definitely been a worthwhile investment.
So one of the most challenging things for people when they think about publishing content and building out a web presence is what do I write about? And in your case, it seemed that you took some content that was otherwise inaccessible. You had to be part of the MLS in order to get a lot of this information. So people couldn't access it anywhere else than from where you started publishing.
Yeah, and it was easy content for me to access, right? It just took a little bit of grit to kind of do it every day. You know, I don't always enjoy getting up on Saturday morning and writing the post, but you know, I spend a couple of hours to dig into the numbers, and I do it, and 400 or 500 people show up every single week to read it.
Yeah. So the other big reason why people shy away from writing content is that it takes effort and it takes time. But it seems like you created sort of a template where you could have fresh, like it's new numbers that people want to see, but you had a repeatable way of doing it.
Yeah, for sure. The typical real estate blog, you know, the last post was 4 years ago, and to me, that just speaks volumes, right? If I was a consumer and I clicked on the blog button and saw that they hadn't posted anything for 2 years, it would show, you know, a fairly poor level of engagement. So I think if anything, the template is easy to follow, so I know exactly what I'm going to do each Saturday morning, and you know, it's consistent, and you know, I think it shows sort of reliability and dependability as a business person.
Well, that was a great example, and I learned a lot from you. It's good to see you out here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jabbar. And Norm, if I can just say, so I don't think we've ever met in person, but I feel like I know you because my wife has been doing Google searches for a dozen years, and I think she now just like direct links to your website. If I want to go look at a house and go looking online for something, she says, don't go online, go to this website. It's bookmarked, and I'm not joking. It's all right, we're going to take a quick break. We are a little behind schedule, but let's keep the break tight, maybe about 30 minutes. Talk to the experts. They're back in the corner. Wave back there, our experts, please. And hunt down our 50-50 person. Where is she? 50-50. Very back of the room. Go buy some tickets. Go have some drinks. Take a break. Washrooms are over here. We'll be back shortly.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your 3-minute warning. We'll be resuming our program in 3 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, our program will resume in about 1 minute, so if you want to find your seats, we'll be beginning in about 1 minute.
All right, if everyone could come back in the room, please. We're going to get started. Just trying to get eyeballs on my speaker. Okay. All right, the third session tonight. Nikki will be using this mic probably. Okay, the third session tonight is, the third pillar is on trustworthiness, and our third speaker, Nakia B. Hill. Nakia is the marketing director at Rock and Bloom. As a brand storyteller and marketer, she specializes in writing, leadership, and content creation, always with a focus on creativity. Nakia creates full-scale marketing strategies for businesses across many verticals. From creative brief through to measurable results, her role requires constant innovation, creativity, and business acumen. Nakia has spoken at events locally and internationally. Finding the story in a brand, a movement, a life is her passion. Please welcome Nakia to the lectern, and let's hear her story.
Thanks, Troy. Thank you. So I actually used to work at Vendasta, and it's a real honor to be back here in front of a bunch of smart people. And I was thinking, maybe I'm ready. And then my husband said, "You look like Don Cherry." I was like, okay. But I'm ready. So, oh, where's my clicker? This guy? Green. Awesome. So I work at Rock and Bloom, and we're a creative agency, and we focus on two things: brand identity and marketing campaigns, and all the things that that encompasses. And today we're talking about the 3 pillars of SEO. So first, Michelin did an awesome job talking about expertise, Drew Beyer on authoritativeness, and we're going to talk about trustworthiness. And you might say, oh, some of that was covered a little bit. For sure, all of these overlap and they go together. You can't have one without the other. Especially, you have to be an expert to be trusted. You have to have some authority to be trusted. They all come together. So, who do people trust? You guys can shout it out if you have any ideas. Someone trustworthy? Mom. Awesome. Well, a few years ago, there was a survey, and the most trusted man in America was Tom. Definitely not. Tom Hanks, of course. So, why do people trust Tom Hanks? Any idea? What makes a person trustworthy? Personality, exactly. So, a bunch of research and looking around, there's about 10 traits that make someone trustworthy. There's more, but here are the ones that kept resurfacing. Respectful, consistent, caring, grateful, positive, authentic, available, honest, compassionate, and kind. So what makes a website trustworthy? All the same things. It's the same thing. So treat your website like it's a microcosm, like you're talking to someone, you're interacting with one customer. This is a time for you to have some one-on-one time with them. A website is respectful if it doesn't ask for too much information. Why ask for too many forms? If you're Luigi's Pizza, do you really need like triple authentication from Facebook? Probably not, right? You're consistent. You're always meeting your customers' expectations. You have a caring, grateful, optimistic tone. You're authentic, and we'll go through all of these in a little bit more detail. And the top metric measuring user engagement, or trustworthiness, sorry, is user engagement. So think of it, if you're talking to someone that you trust and that you like and that you want to be around, you'll stay there and you'll continue to engage with them. It's the same thing with the website. So there's 10 ways we're going to go through that brands can increase trustworthiness, and we'll go through them quickly. I did go through this last night. My husband said, it's a little long. I said, okay, I got it. Maybe go down to 7. I said, I'll talk fast. So we'll go fast. Content. There's a few ways, and Michelin was talking about good quality content. So here's a few ways that you can do and get people to increase your trustworthiness. Emphasize your unique selling proposition. Make your copy customer-centric. Tell stories that resonate with your audience. Know who that audience is, and make sure that content is accurate and up to date. So when you're thinking of your USP or your unique selling proposition, how are you different? In the 50s, people would sell white shirts. Men wore white shirts, and there was a lot of companies that sold it. You can only talk so much about the thread count, right? How bored would Brendan have been in this time? White shirts. So the Hathaway company hired David Ogilvy to do their art direction and a photography shoot, and they said, you know, help us stand out. And on the way to the shoot, he grabbed a 50-cent eye patch, and they grabbed a few shots with this, and they published it with a story. And within a few weeks, all the Hathaway shirts were sold out across New York. So what's your eye patch? What makes you different from the competition? Does anyone know what Avis's is? And their USP? We're number 2. We try harder. Right? What about M&M's? You probably know this one. Go ahead. That's right. Melts in your mouth, not in your hand. Even Mr. 50 Cent himself used that. That's how famous that USP is. Last one, Domino's Pizza. Anyone know? That's right. Definitely not the best pizza. 30 minutes or less, or it's free. So when this happened, people thought, oh, I'll even order pizza and time it. They were ordering it just to test that USP. Became pretty famous. A client of ours that we work with is Canmar Foods. They grow, roast, mill flax right here in Saskatchewan. And what makes them different is the quality. So you can have a certain percentage of contaminants in your stuff. Theirs is so low, and you can see it when you dump it out next to something from Walmart, something from something else, and you can tell in the taste. So their unique selling proposition, best quality, best taste. So be known for something. If you're Luigi's Pizzeria, are you known for a vegan crust? Are you known for the best slice in town, the best environment? Be known for something, and make sure people can find that on your website. Always use customer-centric copy. Let people be a part of your story. So language like you or your rather than we or ours. And I think of something, actually Brennan said years ago, fall in love with your customer's problems, not your solution. So always think of it that way. How can you be solving a problem for someone rather than selling your stuff? Use common language. No one utilizes something, right? They use it. Don't use jargon, and stay positive. And tell stories that matter. No one cares about certain things about your company. You kind of get in the woodwork when you think about the really internal stuff. Think broader. Think about what people care about. When we work with clients, we often go through these 4 stories, and they don't all end up on the website, or they don't all end up in content, but it's a good place to get started. So your origin story. How'd you get started? Your nutcracker story. What's the hardest thing you've done? How have you overcome a challenge? What's your Everest story? What's your biggest accomplishment as a business? And your Batman story. What's your why? Why do you do this? And when you tell those stories, on each page of your website, subpage, and even in every Instagram post, you should have a hook, introduce the problem, give a resolution, and give a call to action. What do you want your customers to do for this reason that you made this content? And your content always needs be up to date and accurate. There's no better way to break the trust chain than if you say, oh yeah, they're open, I saw online, and you go to the store and they're closed, right? So that's an easy one. Your structured data, your name, your address, your phone number, but also stats in your blogs. Are you updating your blog, or is your social media up to date? Do you have stuff going on there? And when you're telling those stories, who are you telling them to? Who is your audience? Sometimes hard to define, and we get stuck on things like, well, I sell to everyone. Our product is for everyone. And these are examples of customer personas. We do this for a lot of our clients at Rock and Bloom, and it gets hard because people say, well, I want to sell to the moms, and I want to sell to the millennials, and I want to sell to, of course, you can sell to everyone, but if you're not speaking to someone, you're speaking to no one. You don't want to dilute your words. You want to make sure you're reaching someone. I like this example because it gives a day in the life. So 3 Farmers is one of our clients that we had to do this with, and you think, who doesn't need healthy snack food? Made here in Canada, right? And we have a while getting around to that. It took a lot of market research, surveys, looking at the clients we do have and where does it sell best in what markets to say, busy moms. That's our target. Other people buy it, but every piece of content we write, that's our main demographic that we're selling to. Number 2, have a good About Us page. Michelin touched on this, and it's so important because you want to know the people behind the content, behind the company. This is Vengula Wellness. She has physiotherapy mixed with yoga studio, so it's really unique what she offers. On her page, we made sure to include what the studio is, their why, and then about Adrienne, because people are going to work really closely with this physiotherapist or yoga teacher, and they want to know if they can trust her. Your About Us page should probably include personal bios, maybe company history, your why, and what makes you different, what sets you apart. Highlight that everywhere you can. Third, credibility and PR. This on Vendasta has this above the fold, who they've worked with, and gives you some credibility. If you look at 3 Farmers again, if you are mentioned in the news often, have a page for it or put it on your About Us page. Put it somewhere. It gives you some credibility to know you've been on CTV and mentioned in Canadian business, and where else have you been seen. And on the left there, that's all the stores they can be found in. So if you say you can get it at SAS Made Marketplace, or you say you can get it at Sobeys, you can get it at TJ Maxx, Winners, Metro, anywhere, then you have a little more credibility as well. Social proof. So people trust other people. How many of you would go to a restaurant without checking reviews? Obviously not anyone. It's gross. So something like 90% of consumers read online reviews before checking a business. And then you also want to get that user-generated content. If you can get that organically, that's awesome. You have really great content. A lot of brands are moving to social influencers now. That means paying someone or giving someone free product to get them to mention you online. And this is something most brands are getting huge dollars back for, your marketing ROI, because you don't have to spend a lot. You might say, Reach out to someone in your city through Instagram and say, hey, if you come by, we'll give you a free beer and plate of wings if you post it. And if you see they're an influencer with some followers, so it costs that restaurant maybe $3. No one saw how much they gave out, doesn't look free, and then it might be reached by a whole network of other people. Foods is a company like HelloFresh in Australia, and they launched with a campaign, an influencer campaign. So they started with 81 influencers who put out 167 pieces of content and about 162 stories. So this is Instagram only. And they ended up reaching 70,000 direct engagements, more than 500,000 total impressions, and they reached over 1.5 million people. So definitely good bang for your buck. This is still growing, and people in Saskatoon are doing it really frequently, but there probably will be a point when people stop trusting it as much, and you have to gauge your audience and see if people are engaging with those posts. 5, meet expectations. So give people what they're looking for. If they came to your site to answer a question, don't make them dig for it. Give it to them right away. So Luigi's Pizza, I want your hours. They should be available right away. I want to be able to call to deliver. That should be available right away. What are people searching for? No, just check your Google Analytics. What are people clicking on? What do they look for? Let's highlight that and make it easy for them to get. Meet those expectations, and we have so much data nowadays that anticipation and personalization are the best method. So if you say, wow, 70% of our pizza sales are vegetarian, or is our one vegetarian option, maybe we should give another one. Or this customer's history is only the 3 kinds of pizza that have bacon on it. Next time we do a promotion with a different kind of pizza with bacon on it, let's reach out to him and just personalize a little. 6, implement SSL. Nothing breaks trust more than seeing this message when you're trying to get to a website, right? Google implemented this a few years ago, and they do now penalize for push you down in the rankings if you don't have it. About 40% of sites have it, and it's growing rapidly. It's boring. You just have to do it. It's a technical thing. I don't even remember what SSL stands for. You just wanted to say HTTPS on your website. 7, be consistent. So consistency is really delivering that same customer experience over and over again, and that's what'll build trust for you every time. Purchasing is an emotional decision. We don't know why people buy. There's so many studies, and people try focus groups, and then we do surveys, and we try to figure it out. And I'm in marketing, so I believe that we are working on it. We have some ideas, but really we don't know. So you don't know if it's gonna be your ad. Is it gonna be a phone call? Is it gonna be a blog? And you don't know at what point they've seen something. You might see on your customer funnel, well, they've had an ad, we've called them, and they've been to our website. But maybe they don't remember the first 3 times, and the first time they interact with your business, they get a bad receptionist or something. So a first impression is not always first contact. So you want all points of your brand to be consistent and deliver a good experience. Does anyone know what that is? Go ahead, shout it out. iPhone, obviously, right? So in marketing, there's something called a shatterproof test. If your product was on the ground in pieces, would someone know what it is? How consistent is a brand? This Apple, very consistent. You'd know, sleek, minimal design. Everyone knows what that is, right? A Big Mac is the same in every country. So that's a consistent customer experience. Cinnabon, they have such strict regulations about how thick their ovens can be, because you might not, and they have to be in like a Subway or an enclosed strip mall or something, because their biggest part of their brand is a scent, right? So your brand experience might not be completely digital, but you want to capture that online as well. 8, be authentic. So this is from an Instagram blogger. She lost a lot of weight. She's a model, but she shows she's got stretch marks, and she's got a lot of excess skin, and she doesn't Photoshop her stuff. And she has a huge following on Instagram. I think a lot of times people are not thrilled to see a really curated feed. They want to see, what's your company like? Who are the people behind your company? This is a publication about wellness, whole foods, exercising, eating right. Seems like it would do well in this day and age, right? Everyone wants to know that stuff, but it didn't. Do you know why? Like, what kind of company would you think would put this out? Yeah, you're thinking like a Honey, Whole Foods, something like that. Well, it was Chick-fil-A. So that doesn't seem authentic, right? That's not part of their brand. No one goes to Chick-fil-A for Whole Foods. Or if you do, you're very mistaken. On the other hand, this video about a scarecrow went out a couple years ago. It's about factory farming, sustainability. And in the first month alone, it was viewed over just 6 million times on YouTube. So this resonated with people. And it was put out by a fast food chain as well, Chipotle. But people believed it. It felt authentic to their customers. They said, we're moving towards it. And they were trying to be honest. Whether you like it or not, it did resonate with their customers. 9, have a site that's easy to navigate. Don't make users search for things again. Keep it easy, keep it simple. What's everyone looking for? This is a site we did for Red Hat equipment. There's really only 4 pieces to the navigation. New equipment, used equipment, parts, about us, of course, and then a quick contact. This is what people are looking for. Don't make them dig 2, 3, 4, 5 clicks to deliver pizza to you, right? Make it easy and accessible. And lastly, social media. Be engaged on social media and engage with your community. So you want to help others out, and Jabir was talking a bit about this already. Weigh in on the forums, talk to other people, retweet, be a part of that community, and that way when you share content, they'll be likely to share it as well. And this, Peter Shankman, he tweeted when he was on his way home from the airport, and he said, hey, Morton's, meet me at Newark with Porterhouse. Obviously, you don't have to do that. That's crazy. But Morton said, we got 2 hours. This guy has 150,000 Twitter followers. Cost us about $15. Let's do it. And they did, and they had huge user engagement from it. So if you can delight your customers, and they will echo that, and their Venn diagram of their followers will see it, that's a great way to go and good marketing dollars. So to sum it up, those are the 10 we talked about. Content, about us page, credibility and PR, social proof, meeting those expectations, giving people what they're looking for, implementing SSL, being consistent and authentic, a site that's easy to navigate, and staying active and engaged on social media. That's it. Any questions? No? Awesome. Just kidding.
There a button? There we are. Hi there. So you had mentioned that some customers really like the vegetarian pizza or the bacon pizzas, so you kind of push those pizzas towards them a little bit, try to encourage them to purchase it. It feels like our phones are listening to us, and I think we all kind of know that. There was a guy I was working with, last name Koob. We call him Kooby. So of course, the only time I'd ever use this word Kooby is around my buddy. And we were working together about once every 2 weeks kind of thing. Kooby this, Kooby that. And then after a shift, I look at my phone, and there's some item called a Kooby on my Instagram feed that's promoted and they're trying to sell to me. And this is happening a lot, and I'd never use this word any other time. So it damaged my trust by trying to push something on me. How do you feel?
You're exactly right. So there is a very fine line between stocky and creepy and good customer service. And you have to ride it pretty carefully. And really, a lot of people will err on the side of not using all the data they have. Because sometimes you could go to a website and it does know your name. And we've all been there when a couple years ago it was like, hey, Nikki, I want to check out our pricing page. And it would pop up with your name. That's not a good customer experience. So you want to use the data you have and always think customer. Never think search engine. I mean, do think search engine, but think customer first. Would this be good if it happened to me? Would this make my life more convenient? Would it be weird if this started happening? That might be weird. So it's just a personal decision, but test it with your customers and be careful.
Okay, thank you.
You talked about personas. If you are an SMB and you don't have money and time to understand your audience and their needs, how do you identify personas?
Can you ask that one more time? Sorry.
Okay, so if you are an SMB and you don't have money and time to understand your audience and their needs, how do you identify your personas?
So you're asking if you have a lot? If you don't have a lot?
Yeah, if you don't understand your audience, exactly what your customers want, how do you map your
Gotcha.
personas?
Like maybe it's a new business, you don't know what they want, you don't know
exactly.
what they're looking for. That is a hard challenge. So a lot of times you can do research and decide where you want to be, where there's a market gap, can you fill it? And you will end up changing, probably. You'll define your customers, but also start listening to people. Survey the few customers you do have, and that data will be weighted heavier on those first 10 or 15 people who buy, especially if it's an expensive product. Maybe you don't have a lot of sales each month. Wait and take from those customers, but do the best you can to think about who your audience is. So even if it's a little bit more imaginative in the beginning, where you're picturing it, make sure you're picturing someone. It will probably change, but have someone in mind. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I have two questions. One, you talked about the About Us page. Everybody and their dog, including you just now, told me that I'm supposed to talk about me and my business. However, I am building my business to be easily replicated, and it's not about me. It's about the experience of our clients. So can you give a little bit of feedback on that?
Can you tell me a little bit about your business?
My business is called YXC Quick Clean. It's a vehicle detailing company here in Saskatoon. And it's not about me as the business owner. It's not about our story about how it happened. It's about your experience of having your vehicle cleaned and how you feel driving in your clean vehicle.
Right. So what you could do is you could fill that with customer testimonials instead and customer stories. But I would argue that even though you might want it to scale and you can duplicate this site as like a template in other markets, you might still have a little bit about the founders just to create, because people are handing over the keys to their vehicle. So it's still something they have to have a lot of trust with, which is why you think of something like Airbnb, where every investor said, won't work, too much trust involved. And it did work, but you can go into each person's profile and you're like, verified by this. So even if it's just a little note like, we're certified cleaners in X, Y, and Z, or here's why we're successful, but it's not as personal, that would work.
So we have hundreds of reviews via Google, Facebook, on our booking platform. Would you recommend that we use those? Because I would prefer other people speak for our work than me to speak for our work. It's not a thing. So
yeah, definitely have those reviews and stuff available on your website. You can either link to it, you can use testimonials, or have something separate, but have them running on your website.
Okay, and similar is you talked about influencer marketing, and we have worked with some local influencers here in Saskatoon that have used our service, that have said good things, and we've said, hey, if you can take the photos, that would be really great. I just want to make sure that that experience is genuine and comes across genuine, because I'm one of those people where I see a lot of influencer marketing right now, and I'm like, yeah, okay, that looks good, but are you being paid for this? And does that make it authentic?
Totally. And that's a really fine line, because a lot of brands, and I think especially when social influencing became a thing, people would send an asset kit. Here's what you can post. Here's what you can say. But the reason people trust that influencer is they've built an audience with the language they speak, with the pictures they post. So it is a little more risky, but I always say it's best to leave it in their hands. Maybe give some stipulations and say, like, ideally don't post a photo of a messy car or whatever you don't want associated with your brand. But I think it is best to leave it in their hands so you get that authentic feeling. Awesome. Okay. Oh, one more. On his way out the door.
Hi, Nikki. How are you?
Good. How are you? Green
Wow.
Party leader.
Good to see you again.
Yeah.
You and I both met at Vendasta. I guess I started my career here, and since moving out, you're still constantly adding value, teaching people like me about marketing and SEO, and it's an ever-changing, ever-evolving industry. How much time do you dedicate personally to like self-education, self-advancement, setting time aside to constantly learn? And
Never enough, it feels like, because it is always changing and always evolving. And certain parts of, I try to use my job to educate myself when I can, when I think of an assignment and it needs research to funnel that in. But I do set aside a dedicated amount of time each week changes and it gets smaller when I'm busier and I do put things off, but I try to always have a nonfiction book on the go. And that's it. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Troy. It's a little hot.
Thanks so much. Wow, another hand for all the presenters and for our experts tonight. All right, we're going to wrap it up here with, but before we do, we're going to do the 50-50 draw. This is not working, but bucket. Who's going to walk around with a bucket for me? Michelin? Is anybody else? We're really trying to. We raised $37,000 the other night. I don't think we're quite there yet. So, and I have long arms. Who has the longest arms in here? We can measure it with that arm. Rylan has the longest arms. We will measure it with Rylan's arms. $10, anyone? Anyone else want in on the 50-50? 10 more. There we go. Going once. Now we've got one person giving 10 now. That's right. Rylan's arm. All right. There we go. Check that out. That's just going to make more people want to buy more tickets. We really want to raise more money for this charity. All right, while he's doing that, I'm just going to take a moment to recognize some of the people behind the scenes at Vendasta's Ideas on Top. First, I would like Kat to stand up. You probably never get to see her because she's always working busily behind the scenes, and she is the inspiration behind Vendasta's Ideas on Tap. She talks to a few people, she plants some seeds, and then this happens. It happens through a lot of process. So our food ops people and the people that we're helping, we've got, are they still here? Can you stand up? We've got Jen and Danny. Okay, so we have operations people and William. They're somewhere around here, but they're very helpful as well. They make this place, they set this place up for us, and they keep things running smoothly.